Here's why the travel home method is the best way to get your attention. So it was founded by this dude by the name of Arlin, and he has really helped me, I think, grabbing my first client for the most part. And this client will have a note card up on the screen to show them what I did for them. But basically, this client was one of the biggest clients that I ever had, and that was actually one of my first clients, which says a lot about just who Arlin is and just his techniques in general. And what I'm going to show you today might sound unhinged, might sound ridiculous, but that's the point. And I will show you some statistics on why that's so important. So, if you see right here, most people only spend 2 seconds on each piece of content they see on TikTok or Instagram or any short form platform. 3 seconds on desktop. The first 3 seconds of any video, 65% of people will just scroll by or just pass, which is crazy. And then 45% will watch 30 seconds and beyond, which is crazy to think about, that most people, are moving past your video by the 3 second mark. And it just shows why you need to do something that's really going to hook their attention and really stop what they're doing and actually pay attention to you. So we have this problem, right? So how do we fix it? So a good example of the travel host strategy, and I'll go a little bit more deeper into why I pulled that. But think about the movie Fight Club, right? So if you have not seen this movie, please go watch it. Pause it right now and please go watch it, because it's going to tell you a lot about just how to really hook people. So in the first couple of seconds of the movie, it starts with Tyler Durden, one of the main characters, having a gun in the main character. And you're like, holy crap, this is crazy. What is going to happen? What is the story now? What happened? And then it cuts to like the background of what got to this point. And it's such a creative way of doing things, because it really hooks your attention so you can watch the very end. And this is a very powerful thing called pattern break. And it goes back to what Arlin was doing. So, for a little bit of context with this method, Arlin is what they consider a travel host. He's traveling the world, he's taking pictures, he's closing deals in the DMs, all this guru type stuff. And because of this, he realized that he can make this a method and just say some really unhinged shit to get people's attention to his lifestyle and what he was doing. And it worked very well. And obviously it worked for me. That's why I'm making this video and shouting him out for the most part. So go check him out. He's on YouTube. But yeah, now we're going to cover how I personally did this. So basically, the basic principles of this method is you need a ranking pattern, you need a system, and you need a call to action. If you think about it, this is just the basics of any, great video, right? You have to hook them, you have to show value, then you have to have a call to action so they can actually act on that value. So this is going to sound unhinged and ridiculous, but this is part of the strategy. So I said, oh, my new Stanley Cup arrived. Autism and steroids, right? This is not actually my water bottle, but it really just hooked people in. And they're like, what is this? What is this story thread about? And then I showed the value. So anyways, I created a AI agent that might be autistic and on steroids. It's going to save you a couple hours per week. And then I showed the system. It really just hooked people's attention because even though I'm being a little bit unhinged and ridiculous, I'm still showing value and it still hooks people to my last and final post, which is my call to action. And it is Tizentai is up, meaning the word speed. If you want this AI to help you move fast, save time, and influence my ideas. And yeah, this is how I got my very first whale client. And whale basically means massive client, like in the 7 to 8 figure range. And I think the reason why they stopped and asked me for advice is because I was coming up with my own turns. I was doing my own humor. I was really standing out and just being different from 99% of people, where they're more like, oh my gosh, I just worked with a multi-million dollar, blah, 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 blah. This nonsense. It gets old really fast. And I think this being unhinged strategically can really just help you get more eyes on what you're doing. Because if you think that you can just do the things that were working 10 years ago, you are so wrong. Because this is just backed by the stats that like people aren't even paying attention to your boring content. So you have to be unhinged while you're presenting yourself. And I did it in a really funny, unique way that got a lot of people's attention and eventually my first client. So now you're like, Luke, how can I do this? Because I'm a little bit embarrassed. I don't want to make myself look dumb in front of my audience. And the truth is that you have to trust the process. You have to trust the process of showing your face online. You have to trust the process of being a little bit crazy, because I think some Greek philosopher said this, but every single successful person is a little bit crazy. And in order to be successful, I think you have to be delusional. You have to believe in what you're doing to the point where you're being so unhinged and so different that just people just gravitate towards you. And that's the main method of the travelable method, is that you're just being so unique and just so yourself that people really respect that and it just pulls you in, especially nowadays, because there's a lot of creators who aren't even editing their videos, they're just being themselves and they're getting like millions of views, you know, just goes to show. But here's the system. So typically you want to start with shock and then lead with something wildly out of place. The travel home method, being a travel home, the water bottle, or, Fight Club, right? Where Fight Club is more metaphorically, the travel home is more of a question, and the water bottle is more of an experience. And a story that seems unrelated but it hooks could just be like something that happened during your week that was a little bit weird, and then you just go straight to the hook, which is breaking the pattern. And after you've done that, you can either do two things. You can adjust the approach and try again, because this takes a little bit of time to perfect. I can just say that from personal experience. And don't be afraid. Like, people who are afraid of taking a shot are never going to take that shot. And if you keep taking shots, eventually one of them will go in, right? Trust the process. Continue creating captivating content. If it starts working, deliver value and then the message, engage with audience feedback, measure impact and effectiveness, and then do it again.